shot from Curry with 0.6 of a second remaining. The brilliant shooting of Steph and Curry continues.
Back to Green, into the hands of Stillwell. Fast break down to Weber. He turns. Look up behind the back. And the step and the foul. What a play by Weber.
I've never seen a shooting display like this. Never.
37 in a quarter.
Curry splits the defense behind the back. Fires a three. Oh, he puts it in. What a spectacular move. That could be the greatest move I've ever seen. Here's Curry for the record. It's good. There it is. Stephen Curry. The all-time three-point king in the NBA. Fuck it. We'll do it live.
You are in. Where's Huddle with me, Bram, with me per usual, my master of all things video and sound, Maxim.
How's it going?
And my boy and producer, MT.
What's up, Dub Nation?
Gentleman fired up to announce that rejoining us after way too long, a former writer for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, where he covered the Raiders, Aces, Golden Knights, and combat sports. The reigning Golden State beat writer for the San Francisco Chronicle, who attends every single practice, press conference, shoot around, and game. And a guy who truly understands how special it is to watch Steph Curry play basketball, Mr. Sam Gordon. What's going on, Sam?
What's up, guys? Appreciate you having me back. Happy Wednesday. Right? Wednesday. Yeah.
Definitely Wednesday.
Yeah.
Incredibly professionally handled. I'm over here screaming into the mic. You gave me a nice and even approach. And actually, it's a good transition, a warning, Sam. I am dealing with COVID today. To the point where, like, it feels like, dude, I feel like I'm thinking through like a mold of Jell-O. We had a work Zoom today, and I spoke for what felt like 8 minutes straight. And then somebody very politely, they didn't use these words, but they said, "What the fuck did you just say?" Which was difficult for all of us. You know, so if I stop making sense or just pass out, dude, vamp for us. We're going to need your professionalism.
Do the best I can. Hang in there. Hope you're doing okay. Get well soon. Speedy recovery.
Appreciate it, gentlemen. Emergency pod. There's a reason I'm potting from my deathbed here. We had another event in Olympic basketball world that requires our immediate attention. Sam, we normally start this thing with one of two segments. We do a glass half full, or we look back, recent basketball, give our take, like it or don't, or we do something that's called the jump that tries to underline a specific thing. This requires our attention right now. When we get really lucky, we get a topic that melds them together. And when that happens, we bring out our big guns. So that's today, man. Steph Curry just went Captain America. We desperately needed you. We hadn't spoken to you for a while. So welcome back, man. Let's talk some Steph.
Appreciate it. Let's do it.
Fuck yeah. Okay, so talk to me about the gold medal game, boys. And before we go to Steph, give me a glass half full. Something you like, something you don't. Just about the gold medal game in general. And take it away. Whoever wants to start first, jump on in.
How about Victor Wembanyama? How about his performance against the Americans? Their team chock full of superstars. They're legends, and he wanted all the smoke. And he gave Team USA everything they can handle. He's 20 years old. Little taste of maybe what to expect from Victor Wembanyama the next decade plus. And he talked about it afterwards, right? You saw the quotes. The NBA's on notice, FIBA's on notice, and he was ready for everything the U.S. Threw at him, and he handled it as best as he possibly could. That was a monster performance by Victor Wembanyama.
My wife had a great quote. Every now and again, she'll kind of pierce through with a really solid take. And we were watching that gold medal game, and he hit his first three, and my wife said, "What the fuck is that? Not who is that? What is that?" And she was absolutely right. You don't see people his size doing what he was doing. I'll give a don't like about the French team, Guerschon Yabusele. I didn't like his confidence. It hella bothered me. I'm okay to admit it now that we beat him, and I kind of like the Warriors to consider him as an option off the bench because of his toughness. He reminded me of like Kenneth Faried, but watching him during the game, and all like his antics and shit. By the time he was purposely sliding face first into like that stanchion at the back end of the basket, I was hell of annoyed. So there's a thing I didn't like. I'm not going to butcher his name a second time. I'll just keep it as it is. Gentlemen, give us something, like or don't.
I liked Tyrese Halliburton's post right after the game. A picture of him holding up his gold medal, and the post was, when you don't do nothing on the group project but still get an A. It was, just perfect. Like, wasn't a big Tyrese fan, but now I'm a fan. Like that, you couldn't have posted a better caption to that right there. So
did Jason Tatum post the same thing? Do you know? Do we have a picture like that from him anywhere, or too soon for that joke?
Yeah, that was a good one. So
I love that, man. And the juxtaposition between him and Tatum, I texted you, Bram, in the middle of the game when Tatum got his 3 minutes in the first half and then played pretty poorly and then got pulled out. I was like, man, is this Kerr just finally saying like, look, I played the dude, all right? Like, clearly he's not up to the moment, so like, get off my ass. This isn't about me. Shouts to Steve Kerr, man. I was so glad that we came through it so emphatically because it got pretty scary. And Sam, to your point, Wembanyama, I think it was after Steph's second of the final 4 threes that Wemby cut that lead to 3 with his own 3-pointer. That's nails, bro. To be able to do that at 20 years old, when you've got like all of this superpower on the other end. You saw him crying after the game. I think he truly believed that France could take gold. That energy, that competitiveness, and that like ability to back it up was really, really inspiring to me. I'm half French. I was definitely rooting for the U.S. The whole way through because I got my boy Steph Curry and Steve Kerr. But there was a moment where I was feeling a lot of pride on behalf of my French countrymen for having somebody like Victor Wembanyama on the other side. I mean, that dude is legit. Unlike Rudy Gobert. Yeah, sorry, I'm going too far into the class at full.
I mean, holy shit. I forgot you were half French. Here's something I like, that we beat half your ass. Fuck you and my country.
I'm excited. France 2028 because like at the same time I'm a little concerned about this American squad. Like the old heads carried the day here, right? So Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Steph Curry, they're the reason the Team USA won straight up. What we saw from Tatum was pretty much DNP. Tyrese Halliburton actually DNP. We saw Tatum in Tokyo play in a much better role and be an important part of that squad winning gold. So there is some hope, but boy, that's a glass half empty if we're talking about the Team USA.
Cooper Flag, maybe, and Edwards. But before we even go down that rabbit hole at all, those tears scared me when Wembanyama's, because he was perfectly justified in just being happy what they had done. Didn't expect them to get there. They gave a real fucking battle to an Avenger team. And instead of being satisfied, he was genuinely upset. Like that guy, his future is crazy bright. I'll give you something else I liked. I liked not just watching the Avengers play. I like that. I love having this generation of talent that I've been watching for over a decade come together and play together. That's awesome. But that in itself isn't unique. I get to see that during the All-Star game. It's the stakes that get added to watching them play. One, single elimination. Anything can happen, and they want to play in there. So it kicks up how much I care. 2, revenge mission. They lost in that last World Games. They could not lose again here without kind of risking an entire nation's reputation in basketball. 3, the world is watching. I mean, the Olympics makes me give a fuck about kayaking. I was watching track and field sports I didn't know existed. I've watched 1,000 highlights of a Turkish shooter who looks like my 5th grade math teacher. Like the idea of just the world watching makes me care about all sports. When it's the sport I live and die by, holy shit. But most importantly, we had to shove it up Noah Lyles' ass. And we did it, gentlemen. Mission accomplished, motherfucker. We are the world champions of basketball. Suck on that, Noah Lyles.
Yeah, it's trippy how the passion we put into rooting for the Warriors translates over into patriotism for Team USA. It's just it always catches me off guard how much I'm just like gung-ho red, white, and blue, stars and stripes during those 16 days or whatever it is. I'm proud of the country regardless, but it ratchets up to a degree that it's like my Warriors fandom, and it's interesting, and it's like a interesting feeling. Like I get pumped, and it's like you said, like speed walking is on. It doesn't matter. It's like, where's the U.S. who's representing USA, and what place are you in right now?
Well, and it's a random take for me. Judging from our reviews and the feedback we get, people get really angry when I talk about politics at all. So get ready to be angry or tune out. Hit that fast forward button right now. One of the things I liked is it was a unifying force. There's not a lot of things that all Americans agree on right now. And without getting into the specifics of that, you can't point to a whole lot of objects like, all right, we're all behind that thing. We're all rooting for this one deal. And for the Olympics in general to do that, and then this team specific to do it, was a really cool thing. The American flag has become a symbol of a lot of other things right now. And watching them drape themselves in it afterwards was fucking awesome. It was just fucking awesome. All right, I got a question for you, Sam, and I'm going to set it up with this first, with another like. Here's what I like. I like that Draymond Green was there. He announced his presence via his podcast with Baron Davis. So we're going to play this clip. Then I'm going to show you where he was seated. And then I've got a very important question for you. But let's play the Baron Davis clip first.
Watch when they come out against France. They about to beat the shit out of France.
By 25.
25 at least.
And I'm going.
Oh, come on. That's killer. I know you trying to be there.
No, straight up. I'm going.
I know where you're sitting. Right behind the France bench.
I need to talk to Rudy Gobert. I'm going.
You do that. That is.
I'm this close to wearing both of my gold medals in there too.
International, Olympic, medal, historical. Like, dude, your story will be the second storyline in the championship game.
Should I wear the 2020 Olympic medal that we beat France in the gold medal game again?
Hell yeah. That'll be epic. Because every time they cut to the timeout, you'll be sitting there.
All right, so that was before the Olympics. Updating that story, Draymond Green did, in fact, attend. In fact, there's a couple of shots of him celebrating Steph's flurry. And I'm going to show you this, not just to show you how excited he got, but it sets up the question perfectly. Here is Draymond celebrating. Boom. And what this is showing, in case you guys are not watching our video, which you should be, it is annoying. You need to hop on our YouTube channel. But what this is showing is Dre going crazy on one of those final threes. But Sam, the other thing it's showing is where Draymond's sitting. We heard kind of jokingly from Baron Davis that he should be sitting behind the French bench. And then maybe not so jokingly from Draymond, I need to talk to Gobert. And we know he has a pretty deep history with Rudy Gobert. So the question is this. He is at least 35 feet away from the French bench from what we can tell on this angle. Do you think, knowing what you know of Draymond, that not the whole time, but do you think he screamed over a couple of things for Rudy's benefit before the game was over?
That's a great question. I don't know. It is a long ways away, It is a long ways away. I'm sure it was awfully noisy in that arena. I'm not sure. I think I'm gonna take Draymond at his word, what he said in his podcast. Maybe he did have something to say. It's a great question.
I bet you my guess is yes, but nothing like way over the top. It was a couple, like as Steph was hitting threes. In fact, yeah, here's what I think. I don't think there was anything to get into Rudy's head. I think once he was sitting here, I don't think it's like an ongoing commentary. But after the second, maybe the third three-pointer from Steph, I bet you there were some words screamed at that French bench. What it was, was it specific to Rudy? I don't know. But here's the other question I was excited to ask you before we focus just on Steph. You and I have texted a little bit about Steve Kerr, and that is occasionally underappreciated right here in his backyard, let alone in the NBA circles. After this, on one side, gold medal, mission accomplished. He did it. On the other, well, rotations were questioned, the same way they are here. Question is, do you think this hurt or helped Steve Kerr's legacy or reputation amongst basketball fans?
It should only help, right? I mean, they won. They were undefeated. They won. That's what matters. They won. Sure, they played some really close games. The rest of the world's really good. They had to play against Nikola Jokic. He's amazing. They had to play against Victor Wembanyama, who had arguably the best performance of his career on that stage. for the most part, up until the knockout medal rounds, they handled business and they played great team basketball and they played great defense. And when they had to rise to the occasion, they did. And the greatest players in the world and some of the greatest players of all time took over and made sure Team USA wouldn't lose. It has to be just an impossible job, right? Unless you win gold, if you're Steve Kerr, it's a failure. He knows that. It's a single elimination, and you have 12 of the best players in the world and who are all at different stages of their careers, and you got to get them to come to and play together in a month. They have about a month to go through the program, right? I think that fourth quarter against Serbia, the effort, the passion, the competitiveness, the teamwork, the way that Team USA played, and that, it's absolutely unbelievable at the highest level. Those guys were playing for one another, and they were also being coached by Steve Kerr playing that way. So, this only helps. Four NBA championships, an Olympic gold medal, adds to his legacy and his place in basketball history. And just, again, the way that Team USA won. Don't you want to see, if Team USA wasn't challenged, we wouldn't be doing this podcast. Right?
Yes.
You want to see the greatness that we saw, regardless from what country it's from. That's what the Olympics bring out. So they won. They were 6-0. What's there to criticize? Are we going to criticize the weather in the Bay Area today too?
I completely agree with you. And I'll say it in kind of a different way. Because really the shots at him all come from Tatum. Tatum didn't play. And Tatum was wildly successful before the Olympics, so I can understand where the criticism came from. But I think if you change it, because I think that criticism is coming from people who don't necessarily understand how basketball or team sports are played. Let's make it music and a band. Let's say I was putting together the world's greatest band, and I'm choosing from the world's greatest musicians, and it just so happens that the top 3 musicians on earth all play guitar. They all play guitar. And I bring them on the team because I need the top musicians on earth. But on stage, there's only room for one fucking guitarist, just one. When I'm not playing the third guitar guy, it's not because I don't think he's good. It's not because I don't think he's a great musician. It's because we already have guitarists on stage. Jason Tatum played a position we are loaded at. We've got a lot of guitarists. So it has nothing to do with him being bad. It has to do with they had to make great music, and there's only one position for what he can do. So he had to sit back. There's guitar playing in his future, but that wasn't a shot at him. It's just a reality for everyone else who was on the team.
And to me, it doesn't mar his standing or where he fits in the place. I mean, he's an unbelievable player, right? He's one of the top 5-6 players in the NBA. Any way you kind of want to slice it up. Him sitting on the bench for significant stretches shouldn't alter anybody's perception of how great he is. Bottom line is it's a single elimination tournament, and LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry are on this team, and that's who the team was constructed around. And that's just the reality of it. And I feel for him. It sucks. There's no doubt about it. How could you, if you were in Jason Tatum's shoes, the season he just had, his status in the NBA, it sucks. But the bottom line is you can't argue with the result. Team USA won gold. And to your point, FIBA's a little bit different from the Olympics. Or FIBA's a little bit obviously different from the NBA, and LeBron was going to be handling the ball a lot. And like you said, Jason Tatum also, a ball handling forward like LeBron, like Kevin Durant, and it was just a logjam. So
they sent Kawhi home. They had a glut at the position. They sent him home. Yep. Over under, Sam, 35. How many points does Jason Tatum average against the Warriors next year? I mean, we only see him twice, right? But over. Yeah. I mean, do you think will there be a fuck you from Tatum when he comes and plays us again?
I would assume so, and there should be, right? There absolutely should be. That's what you want to see from the players at the highest of levels. It's competition. I'm sure Steve Kerr would get that if his game came up to another level. But again, to your point, I mean, I think you nailed it. They had the guys they went with. It's single elimination. There's not margin for error. There's not time to figure it out. You have to figure it out on the fly. And Steve Kerr went with the guys he trusted the most, and they won a gold medal. It worked.
I think he should take a little bit of a dent for his rotations. Short term, long term, you don't care about it, and he won the gold. But he didn't play Joel Embiid right in South Sudan against South Sudan. He said, "Oh, it's a matchup problem." So by that logic, if Shaq was on the team and prime Shaq was there, you wouldn't have played Shaq. Like not saying that Joel Embiid is Shaq, but it's the equivalent of it. Like he's somebody who posts up down low that plays in that position and we feed it down low. So, like Tatum didn't have a great Olympics. There's that stat going around between the exhibition games and all Olympics. He was 0 for 16 on jump shots. So obviously he wasn't playing well on the offensive end. I think against Serbia, there's a stronger case to say like he should have got the minutes that Derek White got.
Sure.
Like he can play defense and switch and, would have been helpful then. Yeah. But, overall, he's going to have a chip on his shoulder, rightfully so. But you got to manage the game. Steve Kerr won the gold medal. That's what's most important. And the revenge tour is on. And Jason Tatum's going to score at least 38 per game against us now.
Maxim, you should be, just I was going to say, you should be happy, Maxime. It turns out Marcus is half French too. So another thing I didn't know. What were we going to say, Sam?
Marcus,
I was just going to say Derek White had been great. The second unit up until that game had been great. They had played really, really well. You got to give them a shake, right? And again, very unfortunate. I'm with you. There might have been a spot or two in that game where Tatum could have got a look. But ultimately 6-0 is 6-0. There's different ways to win, and Team USA got it done at the highest level.
Dude, what's Fitz's take? And I hate myself for now quoting Fitz, but Fitz points out, when he's defending refs, shooters miss shots, refs miss calls, and I'll add to that. Coaches occasionally miss rotational spots. Like did he do 100% in every single game? Did Steve Kerr get an A+ throughout? No, sure, he fucked up some things. He could have played Embiid more. Sure, maybe he could have found a place for Tatum. Okay, but also not one of those players went 100%. Not one of them. Everybody made mistakes. So did Kerr? Sure. Did they still win the gold behind him? Yes. And I think that needs to be the takeaway. Fine. He got a 95%, but there we go.
They won gold.
Exactly, dude. They won gold in a time they desperately needed it. This wasn't like winning gold with the dream team when the other team is lining up to take autographs and take selfies with your players. It's an honor to lose by 1,000 to Barkley and the boys. This was an entirely different setting. The NBA, or the gap between the American basketball and everyone else's basketball, is getting a lot closer, and they still pulled it out behind enough appetizer, Steph motherfucking Curry. So focus on Steph. Give me something you like. Don't worry about something you don't. Give me something you like about Steph Curry's performance in that gold game. Whoever wants to go first, fire away.
What wasn't to like, right? 30 points a game. What was the 17 threes? One of the greatest, if not, you have at it. You can rank them how you want, but one of the greatest threes in the history of basketball, right? Like that shot will be shown 50, 100 years from now. As long as basketball is being played and people are watching basketball, that shot will be shown. He rose to the occasion at the biggest moments when Team USA needed him. Despite some struggles in group play and at the beginning of the medal round, he stuck with it and delivered when they absolutely needed him. What's not to like? It was an incredible, incredible performance. Two of them back to back.
That shot, and I won't give you the things I like yet. I'll let you boys go first. Just to comment on the shot, one of the things that would be incredible of being an NBA superstar is having the peers whose respect you want. The Kevin Durant's, the LeBron James, the younger guys, the Ant Edwards, all these guys not only celebrating for you, not only rooting for you on the sideline, but literally falling into one another, imitating you. Kill to do your celebration as your country brings home the gold. That's an impossible dream. That's not even something they've written into a movie because it's not some shit that you'd even think of. It's one of those fiction is stranger than reality moves. So yes, love that shot. Love that read. Boys, what else you got?
I got 3 quick things. I'll do them fast. One, Ant Edwards quote after when he said, "My boy just showed up to Paris 3 days ago," because Steph was shooting so poorly, but he had those 2 games. So that's right up there with Tyrese's post in terms of comments. So shout out to Ant. Second one is the French assistant coaches reacting to the threes. If you watch them when you see the replays. The last one, they just throw up their hands, and one of them is just like, "What the fuck?" Like you can just tell it's so frustrating. He just ripped the heart out of a country right there. And
was one of them texting Maxime like, "No, damn it."
And even Kenny Atkinson, who's seen it a million times, was an assistant coach for the French team. He's even, like throwing up his hands. So that was great to see. And last, I have a teammate on my team at work who lives in Oklahoma, is a big Oklahoma City fan. And the day after, when we're in a meeting, she messages me on the side and said, "Is that what feels like to root for Steph Curry?" And I said, "Yes." And it was such a cool feeling because, like she got it. And I was like, we get to feel that feeling every time he goes nuclear, it gets hot. For a lot of fans, like that was the first time they had permission to root for Steph, and like it was okay. And they understood that feeling and was like, yeah, they got a little taste of it. And it was a cool moment.
I love that. That is exactly. So I'll follow up on that one too. But we've said a million times, watching Steph pull off what he pulls off is like watching somebody doing the world's greatest magic tricks while being guarded by giants. It's an impossibility. But we've had the pleasure of watching him do that. Doesn't get old, but we have seen it. But watching the world get to see it really for the first time made it kind of new. Have you guys ever watched like a movie you've seen a billion times, but with someone else who'd never seen it before? And you kind of get to revisit those scenes, it's suddenly this new thing that like you've never done it before. Being able to experience this while knowing that other people who'd never watched this in particular type of magic was so fun and so incredible. So no, I think you're on the money on that. Maxim?
So I think at this point now, to MT's point, we also got to be LeBron fans. And I think I would say still, if I'm putting a team together to try to win at any level, I might center it around LeBron. However, if I'm putting a team together to try to galvanize a bunch of new people to become basketball fans at the biggest possible stage, if I'm sitting in the audience and I'm Adam Silver, I could not be more delighted that Steph went off like this, because there's a whole bunch of people who have never really paid attention to basketball before all over the world saying, oh, this is magic. Nobody lights up the court like Steph. And LeBron was playing out of his friggin' mind. He was like orchestrating at every level. Jokic too, right? If you want to be a basketball head, you can get real excited about what those guys were doing. But there's a magic to Steph that transcends basketball. This is like this is why basketball is my favorite sport, right? Steph evangelized the sport for the whole world on the final weekend of the Olympics in a way that I think is going to get a bunch of people. You have a bunch of people at the YMCA shooting threes because they're like Steph, right? You're hearing about AAU players are now taking pull-up jumpers before when they used to be driving to the hoop, all that kind of shit. That's because of Steph. Steph has now changed the game on the global stage, bringing in people who never would have cared before. I mean, basketball, I think, is going to see a growth as a result of what Steph did on the court. And like that speaks to so much more than basketball. It's beautiful.
Yeah, no basketball IQ required. None.
There you go.
You don't have to watch a single second of basketball before watching what he did and still walk away with an incredible performance. My wife and I went to a play. This is years and years ago. And there was a Hollywood star who was in the play whose name I'm going to keep out because he has since been canceled. So it'll ruin this story. But at the time, I don't have any real acting knowledge. I never was an actor. I don't know what goes into it. That man acted everyone else the fuck off that stage. I have no acting IQ. I could recognize how great he was in that setting. Same thing with Steph. You can't experience a game of his without shaking your head in disbelief, even without having played a single second, having watched anything. It transcends it. And there's not a lot of things like that. And it's his joy, which leads to this next question for you guys. Has there ever been an athlete who has as much fun as Curry does on the floor while also having his level of success? Because my experience with his echelon of success, like where he stands as an athlete, it's normally accompanied with kind of a fuck you undercurrent. LeBron Jordan made a 6-part documentary about how he destroyed both his teammates and his opponents. That's who he was. The closest I think we've gotten is Magic, but I also think Magic felt like a competitor first. And then once he was beating you, out came the smile. This one, the shimmies, everything he does just exudes joy in a way that I don't associate with sports. So am I missing somebody? Who out, like Muhammad Ali had a lot of fun, but he was literally beating the shit out of people, and it's harder to extract the joy from it. So I don't know. What do you think?
He hasn't been that successful, but I think Brett Favre might be a good comparison. Like, he would get sacked and get hit really hard, and he'd be smiling at the guy, and he'd, stand up and hit him on the helmet and be like, "That was a good hit," and laugh, and then throw a 70-yard bomb the next play to Sterling Sharp. So, again, not as successful as Steph, and there are other quarterbacks I would put ahead of him on the upper echelon, but he had fun playing. You could tell that.
Do you think he also had the time of his life stealing all those welfare checks, or no? Not quite as fun. Allegedly. Ooh, should have probably added that word. Allegedly. Sam, who are we forgetting? Anyone else out there?
I can't think. I mean, there's nobody that comes to mind off the top of my head, right? I mean, it's very much part of who he is and the way he plays. It's part of his identity, right? The fun, the joy, and how contagious it is, right? Not only to his teammates, but like you mentioned, everybody in the arena, right? Everybody in arenas around the country, everybody in arenas now around the world. There is a contagiousness to it. So it's hard to think off the top of my head. He's on a very short list.
You gentlemen have covered most of the things I was going to say, so I'll just kind of bat clean up here. The other thing I liked, so Joy, we've seen for a while, incredible, love it. What we haven't seen for a while is Steph play for stakes. Since 2022, he hasn't been in a situation where his magic is going to result in something that really matters. And this one really mattered, and we don't have to guess. I mean, we saw him afterwards. We've seen him talk about it before. But in almost every appearance since that gold medal, he's kind of underlined like this one was different. This meant something. And it just makes it more fun. And don't take my word for that. Here is Steph on a live IG performance or live IG spot that he did with Ant Edwards and the rest of the team after the win, but before the gold medal.
We won that gold. Hey, that nigga shot that bill over 2 people. I'm on the bench like, hold on. I know he hot, but hey, buddy just tripped out. You know what you should do? You should have pointed at both of them niggas. I should have. You should have pointed at both of them and said, hey, I know James did that back in the day. You, wow. Hey, we in the back. We about to go. Go to sleep. We about to go. Go to sleep. Come on. We got that goal. 1, 2, 3, go. Go to sleep. 1-0. Hey. 4-3. We just won a gold medal, man. We out here in France. Hey, Ant said I just showed up 3 days ago. Hey, my boy just got the Kerrs about 3 days ago, but we so glad he got here. I don't know what to tell y'all, man. This is wild, bro. We've done a lot in the game, but this one right here, this is up there. We're about to go out and get our gold medal.
I love that clip. I love, there's a few things I love. I don't even need my narration. Here's all I'll add with a stupid little story. After I took the bar and passed it, there was like a 30-minute period where it was this crazy combination of relief because this giant fucking weight was off my shoulders, and then it felt like success. And when that happened, if you had said anything to me, I would have laughed uncontrollably back. Just because that's just how I was feeling. It was just an easy, light setting. And Steph, before he turns serious, before he says, look, this one was different, I've been in the game for a long time, is experiencing that level of joy. It doesn't matter. Ant Edwards could have recited fucking Socrates to him, and he would have laughed hysterically just because of how much fun they were having. And I love that. But it also leads to this legacy question. So KNBR, friend of the show, KNBR, we've had their GM a couple times, tweeted out what they felt to be a list of top 5 performances from Steph Curry. Sam, take a look at these. You tell me where the Paris performance fits in. Here are the 5: dagger in Paris, double bang in OKC, record-setting 3 at MSG, circus shot versus the Clippers, and game-tying 3 versus New Orleans in the playoffs. What do you think?
Dagger in Paris, for sure. Just edging out the double bang in OKC. That was unbelievable, too, especially in the context of that season that he was having individually and that the Warriors were having as well. But this is like we talked about, everybody, this is the gold medal game. This is the highest possible stakes in basketball. It's international basketball, Olympics, and the degree of difficulty on the shot, just the way that the game was going, the flow, that the fact that he'd already hit 3 more, and just what it meant, right? Dagger in Paris. That's the one. It was sublime. It was spectacular. It was Steph Curry in a nutshell. It really was.
MT, you agree?
Yeah, Dagger in Paris is number 1 for me too. I think these are all in order. If you're watching the video and seeing the screen, I think these are in order. I would just move game tying 3 against the Pelicans up to number 3. I think the fact that he missed the first shot and then got the rebound from Spates and then shot it and got hammered by Anthony Davis and they didn't call a foul and still made it, puts that up there. But to do it on the world stage and for your country and get a gold medal, and he's already said that he's one and done with the Olympics, I think that edges out the double bang shot in OKC.
But if it's single shot, it's Dagger in Paris. He hasn't gotten a game winner in the finals, and in fact, all of these, there's only one in the playoffs. It's New Orleans. So like single shot, yeah, Dagger in Paris. If we're talking performances, I would add Boston, game 4 and 6. And that will go down in history. And still, as more of a Warrior fan than a USA fan, I would put, if I added that on this list, I'd put it up at the top, and then everything else can flow down with MT's addition, with the moving that number 3rd one up. Maxime, clean sweep? What do you think here?
Yeah, also because on the other side of the court is the most open LeBron and Kevin Durant have ever been in their entire friggin' lives. LeBron's got his hands up. It's just the most obvious, right? At this point, Steph has already made 3 in a row, and he's like, nah, I'm pulling up over this double team. The game was pretty much clinched at this point, although we're calling this the Dagger in Paris, but the stakes, everything that you guys have already said, the fact that it was on the world stage, the fact that it's for the gold medal for his only one, the fact that he's waving off elite teammates to basically call his own number, unbelievable. That's the final thing that he hadn't had on his resume. A lot of these other ones, right, he's already got the accolades by that point. So this is for something that actually matters to him personally, not just to the fans in the crowd. Pretty amazing.
How many people do we think in the world play basketball right now? I mean, like a billion? Like what? I'm bad with like world population. Like what's that number? We'll call it a billion, 1.5 billion. All right. Just that as a baseline. Of that 1.5 billion people, there is literally one who could take that shot and everyone else think, oh, that's not a bad shot. Like, yep, that makes sense. Like in that context, where he was, how hot he was when he launched that, at least Warrior fans, it's like, well, that makes sense. That's probably going in, and down it fucking went. So let's go. Also, I love Ant Edwards' suggestion of he should have pointed at both of them. That would have been incredible.
Yeah.
If he had taken time to point it out, both Paris defenders, that would have been absolutely incredible.
Also, did you see that KD, so he passed it, and then he passed it to KD. KD didn't think for a second about taking the ball and shooting it. No. He didn't square up to the basket. All he did was catch it and look at Steph and throw it right back to him. A, because he's played with him before and knows it. But B, like you said, KD's, arguably one of the best pure scorers in the history of the game. And he didn't think for a second about taking the shot. And even if he would have been wide open, it just shows Steph was in his zone and one of 1.5 billion.
If they had Kenny Atkinson out there on his ass, I still would have thought it would have been a good shot. Fuck it, let's go. Also, for those of you looking for me after the show, I'm going to be busy watching Kenny Atkinson's reactions to each one of Steph's 3-pointers, and I cannot wait for that. Okay. Fun. Yeah, I was going to say behind us. Not true. We can continue to have fun, but here's the only pseudo-serious question I'm going to throw your guys' way. And Sam, I am very anxious to hear your opinion on this. So the Warriors offseason has been what it is. They made some attempts at superstars, but they didn't go all in. Most recently, at least we know, for the Lauri Markkanen pursuit, it's been very public that they did not put Podziemski on the table. We don't know what the offers were, but it wasn't a look, we're going all the fuck in. Take it or not take it or leave it. Take it. And if you need more, we'll give it to you. Bring them in. And I add that because the question is this: does Steph's 2 games against Serbia and against France put additional pressure on Golden State's front office? Does this change how they need to approach these next few years. And before you answer, let me play you a quick quote from Doc Rivers on Bill Simmons' pods, where he explains how hard it is to win in the NBA. If you're watching live, we're going to be inserting this later. So our apologies. It's not here. But Sam, as you know, what he said is that you don't always have a chance to win. And 24 years of coaching, he has only identified 8 real chances. And so from his perspective as a coach, if you've got a shot, which he defines as one of the top players in the NBA, you have to take it. All right. So with that in mind, does this put pressure? Does this change anything for how Mike Dunleavy needs to look at options?
I'm not necessarily sure it changes anything because I think the Warriors they know what they have in Steph. I think they knew they was capable of this. Of course, it might be an exclamation point. It might serve to underscore that there is this window here, right? That this isn't going to last forever, and he is still capable, obviously, of dominating high stakes games, right? That's what he was able to do. He dominated the biggest stretch of the gold medal game. And he dominated the semifinal game against Serbia as well with 36 points. So that being now, yeah, I guess I'm saying I don't think it necessarily changed that. I think the Warriors know that they don't have enough right now and they need to do something. It didn't happen. It hasn't happened yet, right? I think it was going to require a godfather to get Lauri Markkanen. He clearly re-upped with them pretty much as soon as he could the day after, ensuring that they couldn't trade him. He wanted to be in Utah. Utah obviously wanted to have him. Sure, would it have made sense to trade him and accelerate their tank? Maybe, but they're not mutually exclusive. They can keep Lowry, still be one of the worst, 3 or 4 teams in the league, put themselves in position to get a Cooper Flagg or an Ace Bailey, and then use all those draft picks and young players they have and figure out what to do and how to build around their team then. And then, same thing with the Paul George trade. I mean, that would have required probably a godfather too, right? More than certainly the Warriors wanted to give up. And would he have taken them over the top based on what we know about Paul George and based on what we've seen these last 15 years of his career? Not sure. Where things stand right now in terms of the offseason, the Warriors added plug-and-play pieces that make sense, that Phil needs. D'Anthony Melton, Kyle Anderson address their defense and give them players that can play with or without the ball, specifically slow-mo. He can be a point center. He can you can run some small ball lineups with him. You can go big. He can trigger your offense for you, and he can guard different kinds of wings and guards. D'Anthony Melton, obviously a great 3-and-D player, and then Buddy Hield. You have shooting. So they're gonna I think they're gonna be solid, a solid quality Western Conference team. But as presently constructed, there's not enough. The good news for them is instead of cashing out and trading everything, or they still have all those same contracts, draft picks, young players, and there's going to be somebody that's going to be available midseason. There always is. It was Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby last year. Somebody's going to be available. The Warriors can survey the landscape. Now they can see where Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski are at, see where how your offseason additions have impacted this team, and still have the firepower to go land a big-time player in the middle of the season. I don't think the job's done just yet, even though the offseason is pretty much over. They know they're not a real bona fide championship contender right now, and they also know how great Steph Curry is. So those things are true at the same time.
No, I love that. I think the best illustration showing that you're 100% right is that they were willing to pay Paul George a max after he turned like 38 or whatever that contract was going to be. I mean, they were going to be paying him more than $50 million well after he was really helping to win a championship. And that's because they wanted to give Steph a couple of years, so I think they are trying. Last thing, and totally unrelated, but I don't want to let it go too far because I really want your take on it. So I know you're in Vegas during Summer League, and more specifically, because you and I texted about it a little bit, I know you were there when Obama was there. I was watching one of the games, and the camera could not stay away from Obama. I was very happy about that. And neither could anybody else. I mean, just from the really small little clips that I could see, every time they showed him, there was people just attracted constantly. It didn't matter what it was. GMs, players, music stars, like whoever was in the crowd. But you were there, dude. So off the court report, what was Obama's aura in there? Like, what was it like?
Oh, it was singular. It was ridiculous. I mean, whatever juice, sauce, thieves, whatever word you want to come up with, he was the flyest guy in the arena. There's no question about it. The way he carried himself, just like you said, aura, it captivated everybody. And of course, it was already a big game. It's an exhibition game preparing Team USA Team Canada for the Olympics. You have the world's greatest players out on the floor. It was already big. But his presence, I mean, it made it massive. It was awesome. It was awesome. It was a sellout crowd. Everybody was aware that he was there, and you like you saw on TV. I mean, you felt it through the TV. It was totally conspicuous when you were there for everybody involved. It was really cool.
Actually, I mean, it was just as you said. It was a showcase of superstars, and all those superstars wanted to be with the one guy who wasn't on the floor. There's just like they seemed more as like, this Canada game means something, but also I wouldn't mind be talking to Obama right now. Sam, we missed you. We needed you. And you delivered again, man. We're so fired up to have you come and join us. For people who need far more Sam Gordon in their life, where do they go?
sfchronicle.com. NBA schedule's coming out tomorrow, so we'll have coverage of that, see where the Warriors open up and how where they're going to be at this season. And then as the offseason winds down and we get ready for the season, we'll have more there. And then on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, I'm at @Sam Gordon. So very much appreciate you guys having me. It was awesome watching the Olympics. The FIBA game is spectacular, and it's cool to see how global basketball is now and how many great players and great teams there are around the world. It's only going to be better in 2028 when it's in LA. France is coming. We'll see what the U.S. brings to the table in 2028 and what the countries from around the world bring. It was awesome. Great tournament. I miss basketball already. Can't wait for the season.
Yeah, man. What an incredible Olympics. Thank God it finished the way that it did. We appreciate you guys joining us. We are on social media everywhere. You want to get us an email, let us know we did a good job, bad job, any job. You can shoot that email to
Huddle@warriorshuddle.com.
Also have a YouTube channel, which we are trying very hard to grow. Hop on YouTube, type in Warriors Huddle. If you just play it, you don't have to watch it. That's fine. Go do something else. But if you play it, you are really helping us. And with that in mind, go Warriors. Hopefully, we'll see you real soon.